My name is Samir, and today we're going to be reacting to Nousagi's video, The Meangirl Problem in VTubing. Today I'm joined by the lovely Mari Yume!
Hello!
There is a saying, there is no one who hates women more than other women. And at first glance, you might think that's very sexist, and maybe it is.
Wait, it's kind of true though. It's kind of true.
It is true. You know what, like, men argue, they just kind of beat each other up and then they're best friends afterwards. Women, they hold grudges.
Very generalized quote, within the same realm as never ask a white supremacist the color of their girlfriend. I think both are funny, but I think both also has a bit of truth in them, especially in the fierce, mentally ill, female-dominated industry that is VTubing. See, in VTubing, there are two types of Google Docs. X-person is a sex pest, usually a man, or X-person is a bully, usually a woman. Thus, why mean girls are hot topic trend these days. And while we usually want to take the sex pest allegations a lot more seriously, the mean girl allegations are a lot more fun to talk about. Because not only can we shit on the mean girl, we can also have the right to be misogynist. The idea that Google Dockies exposing other creators being bullies are so common in this space is very interesting to me. In fact, it's a lot more common than the Twitch streamer culture. When it comes to the Twitch streamer sphere, I've noticed that people that don't like each other usually just don't talk to each other or proactively shits on them in public.
Yes.
Their beef are for the world to see and consume popcorns too.
They make it into content.
It's a lot
They
more
do. Some of the biggest, highest CCV streams on Twitch have been ones where they're talking about, I have beef with X creator, or me talking about X creator.
So what's funny about that is sometimes it's planned. I know this for a fact that some IRL beef, the creators straight up plan to have beef with each other just so they can inflate their numbers because people like to watch drama.
Or more passive-aggressive, especially if it's coming from a generally respected content creator. Nobody usually wants to say anything until a Google Docky comes out, then all of a sudden, like goddamn locusts, everyone reveals that they actually had some bad experience.
Oh god.
Because they don't want to get blacklisted.
They don't want to get blacklisted.
And while I understand where this silence comes from if NDAs are involved, but a lot of the time NDAs aren't actually involved or aren't doing jack shit in these situations. I'm not saying that VTubers have more beef against each other than normal Twitch streamers, but I am saying that how they go about their beef is very unique. And one has to wonder why this is. Is it because the consequences have a splashback effect? Or is there something a little deeper? So I tried to do a little thought experiment, figure out the unique factors that makes VTubing different, and whether or not those factors would actually contribute to this very unique phenomenon. And there's really only two factors, actually three factors, that separate the regular Twitch streamer and VTuber culture. The inherent anonymity present in the roleplay and anime aspect, the fact that the industry is smaller, and the fact that it's dominated by women. And I've come to the conclusion that it's these very
woman moment.
I think it's kind of funny how he says it's fun to talk about the women attacking each other. And, you know, it reminds me of something that a friend of mine said where I asked him straight up, I'm like, why do we allow the problematic women in this space to continue to dominate it? And he straight up told me, because it is so entertaining watching women fight each other.
It is. It's the unfortunate truth.
factors that actually are the reason for the bullying epidemic. Brace yourself. This is going to be a very, very weird video.
Those
But
eyes
before
don't
we
look at me like
continue,
that.
May I interest you in other videos not meant for the parents to see? In that case, I recommend you join my channel.
So many videos, bro.
We have monthly exclusive bangers in there as well as uncensored versions of certain content. All
The VTuber who got railed on stream is a wild title.
Bangers like these in the long term with your support. So if you have some spare change,
It's funny how you saw that one
or
first, huh?
something, consider giving it to me.
Listen, you know, I am a woman of culture.
Let's go back to the video. Okay. I am not
And I have
sexist.
ADHD.
In fact, I am a paragon of anti
Did you just say I'm not a
Believe
sexist?
me, I have women that are friends. Even my roommate is a woman. Let's talk about the method of attack VTubers usually employ.
It's like the
against
I'm not
each
racist,
other.
I have a black
Google
friend.
Docky. As I have mentioned, a lot of rumor mongering and Google Docs that goes around.
Oh
men
my
usually
god,
talk
VTuber
about their
blacklist?
sex. The most recent big one is the case of Real Kamana,
Oh,
a wannabe
man.
VTuber CEO that turned out to leverage his connections, falsify or exaggerate his network to appear more authoritative and appealing to work with, and also using this perceived power to try and get under women's pants. It's very predictable, to be honest. From a sex pest freak's perspective, the logic is simple. If you want a fish, go where the fishes are. But
Yep.
again, among VTubers themselves, it's that they're bullies or mean girls. And more often than not, a lot of victims of these mean girls are not who and what they usually depict they are.
There's one thing that I think a lot of people are not realizing why so many women get taken advantage of, and men as well in this space. And it's because a lot of us are so desperate to make it big that when we see people like these problematic individuals, we're willing to do anything it takes just to get that lick of fame, and it gets taken advantage of.
A lot of people are willing to just like take a chance or kind of kiss up or even just hang their
Or look
feeling
the other way.
uncomfortable. Yeah, or look the other way.
Google Docs that we've read through in the past years alone, especially accounting the responses against said docs, there is a concerning number of them where the authors of these docies are not the victims that they claim that they are. That they're not clean of the same hostile behaviors that they try to call out, or perhaps they omit information or exaggerate events to paint a worse picture. This is why we've gotten a little bit critical of them. But we're not here to talk about the flawed docu creators, but rather the nature of these docus. And there's a trend that I've noticed. Most, if not all of these hostile behaviors are not necessarily done via public callouts and open verbal shitting on stream like what many Twitch streamers do. Instead, it's a lot more subtle and insidious.
Yeah.
A little something called relational aggression, otherwise known as social
That's an
aggression.
insane
It's a
word.
type of psychological bullying where instead of physical or verbal harm that men usually employ, they instead damage a person's relationships, reputation.
It's so
and platform.
triggering.
It usually comes in the form of
I had no idea there was a word.
That there's a word for
this.
it?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
me
wonder.
neither. And what's crazy is that I know exactly what this is. I've experienced it so much as an indie creator. It is so hard to make friends in this space because of this. Like honestly, if you don't like someone, you could just go around and just tell people that you don't like them, that they're a bad person, and most people won't question it.
Yeah, they'll take your word for it because they're also scared of being hurt. There's a lot of like anxiety in this space because you're scared of getting hurt or someone hurting your reputation. So it's like really hard to get close to somebody.
And it sucks too, because even if you try to reach out to people and seeing like what's up, it almost like it validates the bad stuff people are saying about you in a way, even though you're not defending yourself per se. You just want to tell your side or get clarification because people are just so, some people are just so non-confrontational that they're any whiff of drama, they're like, I don't want to be involved. And then they'll just kind of push you out, all
Yeah.
because someone else spoke out against you first.
Yeah. Yeah.
of spreading false rumors, gossiping, social exclusion, or active gaslighting, among many others. It's basically the domain expansion of manipulation tactics. Now, men are very much capable of relational aggression, but women do it more and do it slightly more aggressively. Studies have shown that more often than not, women actually employ this behavior. Though I should let you know for the sake of good faith that a lot of the research about this also recognize that other factors may impact the results of these studies, such as home life, school environment, and peers.
They all have
Ages
daddy
are
issues.
also wide, ranging from age 7 to college years. Some studies also suggest that there's no real difference, but there are a lot more studies suggesting that it does, especially in their adolescence. In fact, VTubing itself should be a case study in of itself on this specific topic.
True.
In any case, let's break
True.
down
I think one day there's gonna be like a psych.
There's gonna be a documentary on us.
Yes, a documentary. What would you do if you saw yourself like in a documentary?
And someone said I'm clinically insane, I'm gonna be like, dang, could you at least interview me so I can at least tell you why I'm clinically insane? Like, please reach out. I don't know. I feel like, you know what's crazy is that before VTubing blew up here in the West, I actually wrote a thesis paper a long time ago about cosplay and how cosplay was a legitimate career for people. And I had predicted that eventually we're going to take this to online media in some way, shape, or form. I didn't say it was VTubing, but I did say we would have virtual cosplayers. That was like the closest thing that I could get to whatever that term was. Then when I found out that VTubing is real and it's like a thing, I freaked out because I was like, oh my God, it's happening. I can't believe I get to be alive where this is actually becoming reality. And it was so exciting. And then I had that impending doom of like, oh no, the teenagers are going to become VTubers. Oh no, they're going to cause a lot of problems. Oh no, the weirdos are going to join this space. And yeah.
And it's all true. It all became true. Your thesis was right, but at what cost?
Why VTubing is like this? Again, there are three factors that make this a common trend in the industry, starting with the fact that VTubing is smaller. In a small pond, there can really only be so much food for the big fishes to eat.
Which is crazy to think about.
Are of the character design mixing. In terms of aesthetics, design elements that have a universal appeal are few and far between, and can leave a smaller pool of combinations for VTubers to want to use, whether they like it themselves or because they think it's the best business trend. And because multiple VTubers use these design elements, they will look at other people having the same and fucking resent them. Seriously, something that petty is a legit excuse for even a big VTuber to get upset. The most notorious example I can think of is legit the Silverveil, Spite, and Cinder situation.
Oh, here we go.
It turns out, Silverveil's audience and Silver herself, allegedly, did not like Cinder for having formerly the same design elements to a point of being, allegedly, harassed by said fans. Cinder, in turn, and failing the generational trauma check, also did not like Spite for having the same design elements. A smaller case would be Powder blasting this VTuber Lily for copycatting their white-haired Violet Elf design. People will
Which is crazy,
for looking similar to each other. Small indies tend to do this a lot more than others though. But at the same time, maybe there is some kind of olive branch I can extend to the people that do get copied or do copy. Because look at
some
me.
people do
I'm
it intentionally and
literally
maliciously
the press
too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They're literally trying to like attract that person's audience to them. And I've even like theorized some are actively trying to make drama just so they can get that first push of like eyes on them, and then they hope
Well, it
that people
works.
stays. It does. It does
It
work.
actually works. And unfortunately, there are some creators who are very big in the space who blew up because of said copycat drama, and
Yeah.
it worked. And then when it happens to them, they get butthurt, and it's like, well, that's how you started. Like it's literally a full circle. What's it called? Ouroboros that's always eating itself.
Nousagi. Even if it was supposed to just be a placeholder, I took that fucking name because I was Pecora's goonest soldier. And I took massive
That makes so much
inspiration
sense.
from Omega Alpha because she embodied everything I liked from a character design perspective.
I
and
love
He's a
her
copycat.
character
so I'm not
design.
necessarily
Me
guilt-free
too.
from this.
This
was the most egregious one because she was definitely trying to like start drama. And I think even now I think she's trying to copy someone else now.
Doing
and there's
it
actually
again?
another, I think so. I haven't really kept up. I don't got time for that. But I know there is another VTuber. I can't think of their name off the top of my head, but they're also trying to copy Shy Lily as well. But they're teetering it because instead of being an orca or something, they're like a different species. But they copied every other design element of her.
Problematic part of the industry. The bigger issue actually is that because the industry is smaller, it becomes a much more focused and tenser connection-oriented space, where these connections become one of your most important assets, sometimes more so than your numbers. But it's a
True.
fragile and fickle thing. You can be a nexus of VTubers in one day, then a radiation-heavy zone in the next. Both private and public perception can affect this network, affect what groups you are able to interact with, as well as access to sponsors and resources. What this means is that if you are not well liked publicly or behind the scenes, or have a fair share of drama on your ass that a particular group in the right spaces may not like, you are effectively barred from certain opportunities.
That
Yeah.
is so scary.
Yeah, it is. That one day you can have the whole world in your hands, and then the next day, nobody wants anything to do with you.
Because you may not align with the girlies, or because you're a lolly, or because you've unknowingly upset someone higher in the food chain. You'll never be disappointed with how humans react when they get power. While there is that 0.01% of people that will remain humble or largely resistant to abusing that power, the gambling man will always win if they bet that they would, in some sort of way. And when the space is connections-oriented, people, groups, and companies may not be inclined to take people in just because they have big numbers. While this is a problem not unique
True.
to VTubing, connections and friends in the right places kind of thing, as it happens in any subsect of the entertainment industry, the unique factors of the space amplify and compound on the matter. Again, space dominated by mentally ill women with mentally ill male fans. Many people
Hey,
will
I'm
find
not
it easy to use
that
the power dynamic
bad.
to, for example, rob people of opportunities to take for themselves or for their own groups. call in a favor from a powerful figure to do a little something against someone and make it so that it's not connectable to them. And for the
It's really
victim,
messed
it'll
up.
hurt even more. Sometimes, you wouldn't even notice that opportunities aren't going your way anymore. You'll probably have a mental breakdown first on why acquaintances are no longer speaking with you before you
Yep.
even find out. This is not the only harm
Yep.
that comes from the space being smaller. It's also the dark side of competition.
When you
I've
find
mentioned
out,
in my
it
video
traumatizes you. So when you, for example, if you are friends with a lot of people, and let's say you introduce one of your friends to this group of people, and they all get really close, and then out of nowhere, and it's really slow. It always starts off slow and unnoticeable. These people stop talking to you. They stop reaching out, asking how you're doing. They stop inviting you to collabs until eventually you realize that no one is talking to you. And when you ask to reach out, hey, how's things been? And they're like, oh, it's cool. But you see that they'll collab with that person that you introduced them to. And it becomes painstakingly obvious that that person that you introduced them to this group is talking badly about you behind your back.
I'm fortunate enough to not have that happen. However, I do have to admit that I don't get close to a lot of people because I am afraid something like that is going to happen.
It sucks. Usually there's a pattern of behavior with these types of individuals. Usually they always want to talk to people who are the more bigger creators. And even if you yourself are a bigger creator, that doesn't matter because sometimes your big number isn't what they're after. They're more after who will invite me to parties? Who will get me in with like the other cliques? Like who has the most amount of connections? And that's usually what those people are after. Who has the connections to those sponsorships? Can they introduce me to sponsorships? Can they help me with everything that I need help with in terms of streaming? Like, how much can I take and take and take? Okay, this person's at their limits. Time to find on the next person. There is a pattern of behavior with those individuals. And it sucks because they're so nice to you and you don't notice it until they're done with you. And then you see their true side. And it's really devastating.
About why VTubing has become so negative, that the desperation that people feel to grow or maintain their size is a big part, of the reason why they do things that can be seen as divisive or volatile. That when competition becomes fiercer, people are going to be willing to do less than nice things to others to get to the top, which can include a lot of the relational aggression and backstabby tactics I've mentioned earlier, especially if they see a window where it'll be active. But what I didn't mention in that video, because I was saving it for this one, is that the more intelligent variants of these mean girls go about their desperation and insecurity very intelligently. Sometimes, all that trust and venting that you've given to a VTuber can easily get used against you.
That is exactly like what I'm afraid of, that I will open up to somebody and then they will take that information and use it against me.
Faking concern for your well-being and advising you to do something that actually works against you, but framing it as positive and manipulating you to think that it's a good thing. Like what this fucker Ian did.
That's what
in The
that person
Obsession.
did.
And you best be aware of this when it comes from peers that you have some kind of similarity to or share the exact type of audience with. And Wales.
Yeah.
We've seen this kind of VTuber on VTuber violence happen a lot, especially on the
VTuber,
VTuber
yeah.
indie side. Notoriously, the Cindergate
This one was,
situation.
yeah.
And believe
The
me,
Cindergate
it's not a
is
very
crazy
common
to
thing
call
do.
that.
Insecurity, envy, or some manner of ego-related hostility is so common in this industry. And often, that's all it takes for a person you've considered a friend to lie to you, turn on you, and manipulate you whether they realize it or not. And the absolute worst thing they can do to you, beyond the rumor mongering and the relational aggression, is an open attempt on your very career. Again, I
Yeah.
have to emphasize, VTubing is small. So any medium to large scale cancellation attempt is going to be seen by anyone that aren't Hololive or Nijisanji only viewers. Even if they're a different type of audience, or that they only know the rough details, it's still enough to form a negative impression on you and thus affect your brand negatively. Of course, the obvious example of this is the Saikuno and the Cindergate situation again,
Yeah.
which most people
Cindergate.
see not as warnings that the authors say it is, but actual exposés. Attempts on people's career, a brutal punishment and sentencing that most likely does not actually fit their crimes. And while we can argue all we want about who was
I think regardless of how bad a person is, if your entire goal to only expose them for said bad things is to get them deplatformed, then you got to make sure what it is you were trying to cancel them for is worth it.
Yes.
Because like I'm not gonna defend Saikuno at all for what he did, but like that's not enough to get him deplatformed. It
Ye-
just isn't.
yes, like things like being a predator or a sex pest, like, okay, yes, this is a legitimate concern. People might be like in danger or at risk. Or if
Mm-hmm.
said artist is scamming people, that's fair. Like, right? Like, those are things that I could be like, oh, I think this is good that they're letting people know in the community that this is going on because this is something that is actual harmful behavior. But if it's
Right.
something
Right.
small and petty that, you know, it might be like big and hurtful to that person, but for them to take that publicly and slander them publicly for the sheer goal of ruining that person's life and deplatforming them is not it.
I'm kind of surprised he's not bringing up the Mofungo Boy situation
Mm-hmm.
with happen all that because that did end up deplatforming the person. And the only reason why it deplatformed that particular individual was because he took himself off from all the social medias. Because let's be honest here, when you even as big of a scale as this, Cinder's still making content. She's
Yeah.
still streaming and doing very, very well. Like she has not dipped in anything that I can see. I could be wrong. Maybe she has lost some numbers, but I don't know. From what I've seen, she's still very successful.
Yeah.
It is so hard to deplatform people because at the end of the day, if they just continue streaming and ignore all of it or wait it out and come back, that's all it really is. Like
Which is what she
nothing
did.
else. Yeah, yeah, that's really all it is.
Or who was in the wrong in both situations. I've made 2 videos about these topics already. The ultimate point here is that even flawed attempts are more than enough to form a negative impression on your brand. It's more than enough to irrevocably sever huge chunks of your network and your friendships, even if you somehow maintain your audiences or your numbers. And while yes, this does carry a risk for the accuser's credibility, the truth is, whatever repercussion they'll face for a flawed attempt isn't going to be commensurate. In the streaming and entertainment industry, whoever strikes first usually has the upper hand, usually
That's
gets
true.
seen more,
That's
and
true.
usually gets
Whoever puts out the doc first, I think it was like a meme at some point that whoever like puts out the doc first is usually the person that comes on top. Just
Yep,
because
because they're the
first person to talk.
saint.
Yep.
However, I think there's an asterisk with that. If you're going to be the first person to put your doc on top, you need to make sure it is so well articulated and convincing because I have seen cases where people try to be first and then it completely backfires on them because of how bad it is, the lack of receipts, the omitting information, and it turns around on them completely.
Yeah. Yeah. It's got to be like airtight, solid. This isn't advice on how to make a Google Doc, by the way, guys.
I was just thinking that. I was like, wait, hold on.
This isn't advice. Do not credit us in your Google Doc making, please.
Could you imagine?
more favors. That's just how people are. Most people would rather be told who the enemy is rather than figure things out for themselves. After all, that's not what they came here for. And in this space, often the bully can wield more power, whether that be because more people are willing to ignore it due to their sheer size and clout, fearing them, or because they'd rather believe that their Oshi/friend is a saint or something.
Yeah.
Right? By the way, that in of itself
Idolizing.
is a huge fucking problem. VTuber fans are incredibly easily manipulated. I'm gonna get into that later. Vtubing really is no different than a high school setting. With a bunch of guys fawning, clawing, and fighting for girls, it's just the kind of space that naturally forms when the major players are the way that they are. So that's
Yeah,
one aspect
yeah.
of the mean girl problem in VTubing, the mean part. Now let's get to the girl part. A girl's girl is a woman who genuinely supports, celebrates, and stands by other women. In Hololive, we see such powerful examples of this because Hololive actually does a good job picking up women that aren't goddamn petty.
It's the one thing I really like about Corpos is the girls stuff
Yes.
because y'all are so supportive with each other. Your ups, your downs. You don't just sitting there being upset that someone did better than you in numbers. It's just so supportive.
tirades. Their management also being proactively preventative also helps. What's that meme? Women are more likable
Meme?
under oppressive moral codes or something? And while it's funny, it's not
What?
necessarily true. It's not the reason why Hololive VTubers seem more professional. But there's a reason why even this sentiment, if only just more nuanced or worded more accurately, is a sentiment that many fans may low-key agree. Because in the indie side of things, these measures are not available.
That's
It's
what you're
often up to
saying.
the girls' own professionalism and personalities to keep themselves in check, not just in public, but also in private. So what happens when a bitch is not self-aware that she's a
Whoa.
bitch, or knows that she's a bitch but wants to seem not to?
Alright.
Well, that's where women use their curse technique called emotional manipulation. I brought up
Yep.
the whole relational aggression thing earlier, and now this concept of being a girl's girl because I wanted to make a point that a lot of VTubers mask being like these to really sabotage or plan something backstabby. Sometimes, they even use therapy speak to attempt to manipulate or confuse the public and their victims. And I think this happens a little way too much. Yakireso is a very notorious example of this. A person that uses relational aggression to coerce people, which even included their own roommate slash editor, and also their friend Deputy Aru to doing what they want. Gossiping, manipulating, and a whole lot of typical bitch behavior, and she was one of the rising stars. People
Pretend to be a
genuinely
girl's
liked
girl.
her.
Take down
She
your
only
enemies.
got caught
Yeah.
because she was stupid, to be honest. Sisterhood and solidarity in the form of collabs and shoutouts are easily used as a guise under competition. Attempts to steal viewers and whales, especially if they start DMing said whales. I know who you
That's
They
crazy!
attempt to integrate
DMing
themselves
said
faster
whales?
into a friend group or other people's events to broadcast or promote themselves. Because when you think about it, VTubing is the prime environment for this bitchy backstabby behavior. A place with low
That's insane. I never really thought about it before, but well, not the collabs because collabs are a way to share your community and share each other's community, but literally like hiding under the guise that you secretly are seething and you don't like this person and you're trying to like sabotage by stealing their community. I never
Yeah.
actually thought about it like that.
I actually had a friend who was having issues with someone doing this to her where they were messaging not just her whales, just all of her community members, anyone who seemed really active. And like they would sit there and look, oh, this person is like super active in the community. They really like this person. I'm going to start messaging them and give them all this attention, stuff that their Oshi can't give them, right? And then I'm gonna start talking bad about their Oshi. And she was asking me for advice on what to do. And like, I'm like, the fact that this is happening on I'm like, wow. The only thing I could think of is just it, it- be yourself and because you can't really tell these your viewers to back off and not watch that person.
Yeah, then it
People can
makes
do
you
what they're
look
going to do.
bad.
Yeah, and it's like I don't know what you do about that kind of stuff. I'm at a loss for words with that, but it does happen and it's scary.
That's literally like insane. I couldn't
Mhm.
imagine. It sounds so stressful.
accountability but high visibility. An anonymous place where the tools are easily accessible to spread some bullshit, and a space that also gets you a simping, almost retardedly loyal audience. In a space like this, the smartest manipulators can stand toe-to-toe in terms of reach and clout with the most genuine creators, to a point that we wouldn't even necessarily know or will realize too late who it is. All of this is then lastly multiplied by the fact that VTubing is a roleplay heavy scene. Anonymity, an inherent side effect of anime role-playing, can be weaponized. Mean girls are able to get away with it if they get caught once. Start an entirely new brand with a separate friend group. Maybe have your voice be an octave lower and get used to it so you don't get caught or some bullshit. It's just way too easy. People like Cha Cha Chela, aka Bunny Alisu, is very notorious for this, undergoing multiple
Oh.
personas every time she gets caught in a bad situation.
I have seen her around so much. I haven't seen her around recently, but I have seen her around quite a bit. That
Is it
shows
hard
such
to be just a nice
persona.
person?
I guess so, man. I guess so. It's difficult. It's difficult, I guess, to be a nice person when it seems like you're rewarded more for being mean, you know?
Yeah, that's what it is at the end of the day. You are rewarded more. There's no repercussions, and being good is just a way to be a stepping stone for the mean people to take advantage of. And I can see why people are so terrified to make friends and why so many creators are lonely in this space.
Yeah. And it's so sad because the space is so massive. So there should be a plethora of people for you to meet and talk to, but Like we were saying, it's just the fear that someone is going to like emotionally scar you is so great that it's really hard to reach out and make these like meaningful connections.
It is definitely hard, because I have gone through all that stuff, and even now, I feel very jaded to talk to people, but I know not everyone is like that, and it's not fair to the new people that I talk to have these preconceived notions that they're gonna do the exact same thing to me.
Yeah.
It's more like a I have come to realize that people who are bad will eventually show me why they are bad. Like it will just happen. You can't keep up that fake persona forever. In fact, statistically speaking, I have been told that people unmask themselves with someone else after 5 or 6 months of getting to know them. So you'll get to see how someone
Interesting.
really is. Yeah, it's some kind of like study that they're doing where people get comfortable after that much amount of time frame and you get to see more of who they are.
They unmask too much. They get too comfortable.
Yeah, yeah. But that means you gotta pay attention to those red flags.
Yeah.
Gunpai is an even more notorious example, a mentally ill GFE VTuber who is all sorts of insane. And more recently, this girl Sumi, who recently got into a controversy for bitching and whining about why Shy Lily blocked her, notoriously having 18 plus account name changes to dodge past controversy, and also had a
17.
major
Oh,
allegation
God.
under her belt, such as harassing other content creators for copying her and copying people herself. Their infamous deeds are covered by other channels, so I suggest you
Oh,
view those. These are
man.
negative byproducts of the industry's roleplay heaviness and the anonymity that goes along with it. Whereas it's easy to hold IRL streamers accountable for bullshit that they did, or easily track and warn people about them when they try to do a comeback or rebrand, in VTubing, it's a lot more difficult. Because not everyone pays attention to everyone, and people have a memory of a
Mhm.
Yeah.
goldfish. And I think people started getting tired of all of this mean girl drama and bitchy
But also,
behavior
we're anime
because
women.
Yeah, we're also anime women.
of the Cinder
It's
Cave
a little
situation.
different.
That drama was a nuke. Even after the explosion had settled, the radiation still remained 1 year later. I think the number of people involved in that drama, the sheer pettiness displayed that respected indies and supposed professionals, and the kind of information we shouldn't have known about as audiences, really disillusioned a lot of people, regardless on
Mhm.
whether you were Team Cinder or Team Shylily, because it was a situation where low-key everyone kinda sucked. A lot of people did not need to involve themselves in that shit flinging, and why a lot of fan bases of the entire scene were also taking part of this some holy crusade in the name of their anime women. I know and agree that we should hold people accountable here, but holy fuck. I say
It
it's
was
radioactive
bad.
Yeah, it was
because
really
it didn't
bad.
just affect
I
the
remember that went on for like I felt like it went on for like months. That I just would hear about it constantly.
That's publicly though. Imagine how long that was going on behind the scenes with the social relational aggression and the mean girl talk and the pretending to be a girl and then cultivating to start these Google Doc attacks. Like that's the
Right.
part that really scares me is how many years had gone by where this stuff was being in the making of trying to sabotage someone publicly until you got enough clout and fame and a strong enough fan base to finally do an all out mega attack publicly. Like that is the stuff that I genuinely lose sleep over.
I know. I mean, somebody could be cooking up something right now and we just don't know. It's actually terrifying.
And that's on the biggest scale of this. I don't think that Lily or Cinder realized that what they did was such a cultural phenomena. It infected this entire industry in a way that I don't think anyone was prepared for. And if it happens on this big of a scale, imagine how it happens on a lower scale.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Cuz I used to at least like to think that even like indicators like once they reach like a certain like level, they do like kind of be like, "Oh, okay, like, I'm more of like a
Let's be more
professional
professional.
now." Yes, exactly. I'm more of like a professional now and maybe I should be like a little more careful, but after all this, I'm like, I'm not so sure. I don't know how
From
you
what I've
do it,
been
Mari.
told, I from what I've been told, and again, I have been told this is not my thoughts or opinions, but from what I've been told, Apparently when you reach a certain stage of fandom, like what they're all in, because they're in a much different level than we are, right?
Right.
You that stuff doesn't go away. Instead, it becomes much more hush hush and calculated.
That's scary. That's
It is scary, and the
terrifying.
reason why I didn't wanna believe it is because that sounds stupid, but seeing this and it happening, it just proves, like, no, it is in fact way more calculated because the stakes are higher.
Yeah. Makes you feel like, oh, I don't have my like little tinfoil hat on. Like it's
Yep.
real. It's real. It's happening. Yeah.
I always feel like I'm being gaslit, it's crazy.
Fan bases and the VTubers that were involved in that drama, it spread throughout the mainstream, spreading the miasma of doubt, planting a seed of criticality against any and all VTubers that they may not be as professional, smart, and good-willed as they paint themselves to be. Google
Mm.
Dockies were long recognized before as a mainstay, but was really only solidified as a cultural phenomenon in the industry
It's a
because
meme.
of this drama. To
Mhm.
me, it's okay if my Oshi is not wholesome or smart or is not a good role model. It's not your job to be a good role model as a content creator. It's to entertain.
Entertain.
People shouldn't
Yep.
look up to any VTubers as paragons of goodwill, but they want to be for some reason. Or perhaps not. Perhaps it's not them that wants to be seen that way, but the fans insist that they do. Fans that glaze their Oshis a little too hard, paint an exaggerated picture of sainthood that only a true simp is able to do. That they are where they are because they are good people. They deserve to be where they are because of their character, putting them in a pedestal that makes them seem uncriticable, using their disability, their mental illness, or gender or minority status to deflect criticism. And maybe that's the ultimate reason why there's so many mean girls. Beyond the faults of the VTubers in the industry itself, maybe it's because of us too. Maybe it's because, as fans, we enabled this. People would rather defend them if they make mistakes rather than provide even constructive criticism. And such a hug boxy space only encourages bad actors to provide criticism that is far from constructive. People would rather flatter their ego and validate emotions or actions that shouldn't have been. People would rather protect their platform, not their integrity. People have simped too much. Our favorite VTubers come from all walks of life. Nerds who got bullied for being a nerd, bullies who picked in high school, normal people who just found the concept interesting, disabled or physically/mentally ill people who saw VTubing as a viable career path. All these walks can eventually develop the kind of mean girly behavior that we've seen over the years. Some more than others, sure, but we have seen disabled VTubers be a mean girl. We have seen normal people who get corrupted and let their ego take over. We have seen bullies who got worse. We have seen nerds become
Mhm.
the very thing that they used to hate. It
Yeah.
ties back to what
I think that's the saddest part because we're all nerds and I'm like, man, like when you're being a bully, like you're kind of like picking on your own in a way.
It's really, really sad. Mostly because the type of people who become bullies are so attention starved that they forgot what it was like to be on that other end of the spectrum.
Yeah.
in the middle of this video. You'll never be disappointed with how humans react when they get power. So
Yep.
perhaps it's our reaction that we also may need to look out for when we see these behaviors. We need to be gentle yet firm, constructive yet critical, loving in a way that will also ground our Oshi to the earth. The kind of affection that cares about how they are rather than who they are.
I hope that especially after the Shiley and Cinder situation that people will start doing that more often because again, that that whole thing happening is just going to promote that behavior more unless if all of us collectively both on the creator and on the viewer side hold people more accountable for their actions.
I think a lot of people really eat it up when like this sort of stuff happens, like viewer wise. Like I think viewers will like eat it up. It's like a form of content almost. Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe and let me know what you guys want me to react to next. I will see you guys in the next one and bye bye.